Going to a better state of awareness and knowledge. Yo, it's seed talk, stuff to make your seeds walk. I came from earth, we close like some tree bark. I came to plant seeds, I came to breed trees. Together we bear fruit, you can check the leaves. Shed light on blind spots, water the grass and green. Everybody is a coach, we speak as a team. Being supreme, we the seen and unseen. Yo, we gotta keep it real to wake you out of your dreams. Yo, it's seed talk, stuff to make your seeds walk. Seed talk, stuff to make the seeds walk. The seed talk, stuff to make the seeds walk. The seed talk, stuff to make your seeds talk.
Yeah. You know what it is. You see her. It's part 2.
Part deuce.
Part deuce.
Deuce.
Man. And if you know Logic, man, you know he love him some Libras, man. My best friend's a Libra. Man, I've dated some really nice Libras too. Anyways, we're gonna get into that. But this is Seed Talk, stuff to make your seeds walk. Please share this. Please comment. We got another action-packed show with, the grand personality of Lakema. She's back. So make sure that you're subscribing up if you're on YouTube. In all seriousness, make sure you're donating to Seed Talk, Cash App, $ Logic Amen, at Logic Amen. And our guest is going to be, looking for some donations. Also, make sure you donate to her at $ Lakema Bell. She's going to be talking about her one-woman show. Excuse me. And I'm just excited to have this conversation, a part 2. And we can pick up, where we left off and whatnot.
Okay.
So for the people who are, new to you and weren't here, last time, we had this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell them who you be?
I be the daughter of Makla Ebube and Myron Bell. I be the granddaughter of Corrine Fitzhugh and Willie Bell and Zenobia Cotton and Roy Barfield. I be's the mother of Jasiri Johnson, Fanikia Johnson, Azan Johnson, and so blessed to be gifted with Chris Holmes. I be's the mother of those 4. I am a community activist, entrepreneur. I work with Seattle City Parks and Recreation, where we help to provide funds and giving community grants to community-based organizations to serve their communities most furthest from racial, educational, social equity. I be's a African dancer, a poet, erotic poet, a teacher, innovator, creator. I be's an auntie, an uncle, a sister. Did I say uncle? I do have the X and the Y chromosomes. You heard it. And I also am a cousin, a big sis, and a daughter. Did I say it all?
Yeah.
I also have the Skin I'm In LLC, which is an organization or business that works with folks to be unapologetically beautiful in the skin they're in. And that comes in a multitude of different things, but I utilize African dance as one of the mechanisms, also curated retreats, advances, workshops, really around body confidence, self-confidence, and elevating you to the next level.
Nice. Thank you for that introduction and whatnot. I want to jump right into it because you mentioned erotic poetry.
Oh, stop it.
Ever tasted a yellow dragon fruit?
You said what now?
So why you want to just jump into that?
Because you mentioned it. You shouldn't have mentioned it.
Okay, then.
And it gives me a chance to shout out some other local Seattle legends.
Come through.
Yeah. Monique Franklin and Infinity, Nichelle. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you were on. No, we weren't on the same bill. I've done the erotic poetry slam twice.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting story about both those times. I'm going to have Monique and Infinity on the show, and
yes,
I'm going to bring that up. I actually got them scheduled for later on this month. It's going to be a good show, but I wanted to talk about erotic poetry because Black people seem to have this conservative side to them
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to sex and
Mm.
eroticism.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to know, like, why did you decide to explore the erotic side of spoken word poetry?
Um, because it brings about life, and I'm all about creation.
Not all erotic endeavors bring upon life.
It brings about life in whatever faucet you want to
It's true.
taste
You're
it and
right.
feel
God
it. Okay,
dang,
right?
you're
Something
dang,
is coming about,
you're damn.
whether it is a
Something is coming.
baby or something. Something's coming to life. Okay.
You dang Libras, man. Always, man. That's what I love about Libras, boy. Don't play with no Libras. They always got a point to make, boy. Don't try to argue with no damn Libras. They keep it real simple too. They, us Pisces, you try to be going all deep. Libras, you keep it real simple. There's some life that's gonna be coming. Pun intended. Anyways, so I want to ask you a question seriously. Why do you think that there is a section of our Black community that is so, apprehensive when it comes to eroticism and talking about sex and whatnot?
Well, there's many reasons, right? And I speak to this a lot. Is where your environment is, right? What you were, how you grew up. If you were told that it was taboo to talk about it, if it was something that was secretive, it could come from violations within that in that area. Well, why folks don't want to talk about it? It could be something that is religious. There's all kinds of different reasons why certain segments of our population doesn't want to or may not feel comfortable talking about the eroticism and the eroticness of love.
Yeah. You see what she be doing? She did this last time we got together. She'd be like, boom, 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 boom. Stop. I'm done. Next topic. Killed that answer. She in an interview. She ready, boy. She trying to get a job. So what was in all seriousness, what was your experience like with the erotic poetry slam? What was your experience with that?
Oh, I absolutely love Aphrodisiac. It is a wonderful, wonderful experience to be able to immerse yourself into different lenses. I'm a voyeur. I like to watch, okay, because you can learn more. That's why you got two ears and one mouth. So I like to observe, right, because it may allow me to understand or learn something new or reawaken something I already knew. You understand? So Aphrodisiac explores all the various levels of what love and eroticness is, from touch to sight to sound to smell and even taste. So for me, being able to be in that environment, I faithfully go. Anytime there's an event, I faithfully go. And oftentimes I go with my husband because that's our date night. Oftentimes, and we are able to, the children are away and the parents will play. Now, we ain't trying to make no more children, but we will play.
How do we know when the eroticism, we talked about this a little bit in our last episode, part 1, when we were talking about the twerking and all that. How do we know when we've gone too far as a community? And this is all, leading up to your one woman show. I'm sure there's going to be some, erotic elements in there too. How do we know when we've gone too far with, our sexuality and, being sexually, expressive?
That's interesting, right? It's again, I would say that it's about our environment, right, in which we come from. I think when we go too far, when there's a violation, right, oftentimes our bodies, especially women's bodies, are over sexualized, right? We need to understand that breasts are meant for feeding our children. Okay, it's secondary. It's secondary.
Oh, you talk about the sexual part is secondary,
right? The sexual part is
okay.
secondary. The main reason for breasts is to feed children. Okay. Now, if you may not be someone that has children or so forth, but that's really the main reason, is to feed children. right? And so we need to correct our thinking. We've over-sexualized the body to the point that it's become obsessive, and then that can be dangerous. If we look at the body for what it is one that gives life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I
Many
think that,
different forms of life, not just physical
yeah,
life, like you
very
were.
different
Yeah,
forms, right?
yeah,
From all kinds of creation, artwork, painting, visuals. We give about life. Um, I think that the over sexualization has caused the balance to be shifted,
yeah,
and then therefore can cause violations, right? And so
yeah,
that is where the harm comes into play, right? Because I think everybody got their little pickle, whatever you like, crunchy, salty, sweet. It's all right as long as it doesn't violate and harm others.
yeah, yeah. I appreciate that. Excuse me. I think one of the things that causes problems is our trauma from white supremacy and generational trauma that's connected to um just being, the descendants of enslaved people.
Mm-hmm.
And sex really can complicate things when we know that sex was used as a tool to enslave us and oppress us.
Mm-hmm.
And I remind people all the time, it's a very uncomfortable conversation, but I think we need to have these conversations just like other oppressed people
Mm-hmm.
in the global community have these conversations. But I remind people they had indigo plantations when they picked indigo that was
Mm-hmm.
used to color different uniforms, and they had tobacco plantations, they had cotton plantations, they had sugar plantations.
Mm-hmm.
But they had plantations that were just designated for breeding.
Correct.
And so when we know about epigenetics and things that are passed through generations through your genes,
Mm-hmm.
we know that certain routines and patterns of sexual attraction get passed down.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that we come from the South. A lot of us migrated here. Now
Yes.
we can get into some other histories and saying that we were already up here, in the Pacific Northwest. Yes, we know that California was named after a Black woman. We know this. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm just saying, I'm talking about the history of the South includes a uncomfortable history that, we were cousins were marrying cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Cousins were having children with their cousins.
Mm-hmm.
14-year-olds were what 30-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And so my point I'm trying to make is the topic of sex becomes a little taboo because we got these bones in our closet
Mm-hmm.
that we don't understand that they're there without our control. Like we couldn't control, like that's what was done to us. You don't understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. And
And
that's
a
what I
lot of
mean. That's what I mean by our environment, our indoctrination, right? Those are things that we're indoctrinated in, meaning that you cannot control that. But again, what we subscribe to is where the choice comes in, right? So there may have been a multitude of different things that keep being perpetuated. But as we come to awakening and understanding that, hey, this ain't working for me, this is not right, this is not what I want to see continued down my bloodline, then the subscription is that I'm no
exactly.
longer going to subscribe to those said thoughts. I'm not going to no longer subscribe to those actions, right? Or the subscription is I'm going to heal this pain from Chester Molester. I'm going to have the conversation about why we all up here acting real like we all good when we know that someone has violated someone else and we're at gatherings, family gatherings, and acting like ain't nothing happened, right?
Mm,
Things need to be addressed or they will continue to perpetuate, right? And we know that it stems from the indoctrination from what has happened in the past and been passed on, right? The secrets, right? Sometimes it was secrets to be safe. You had to be silent for your safety,
mm,
right? And sometimes it was secrets because we didn't want to face what was going on.
mm,
But until we start to tell it like it is, we will
mm-hmm.
continue to perpetuate
GI
this very
is.
thing to our
Mm-hmm.
own detriment, right? So yes, all of those things, and it's not an either or, it's a both and, right? Because right now it's light now here and it's dark somewhere else. So we're going to have all the things occurring at the same time. It is our choice what we choose to focus on.
Yeah, you dropped it right there. That was nice. That was nice and concise. Another thing I wanted to say is I wanted to add on to what you said. You said that we're over sexualized. And it's important to for us to understand as descendants of enslaved people, whether we were already here or we came over on the boat. Because I know I got some people out there be like, "Hey, man, we didn't all come from Africa." Like, we get it. I get it. I know our history. Shout out to the Geechee Gula community. But anyways, Black people are on a mission to really reclaim their bodies. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that phenomenon of being a group of people who have never ever had control of their bodies collectively. And we're trying to reclaim it. And on top of that, we have historically used our bodies to get what we want. What? No.
Interesting.
No, let me explain. I love this because I love having conversations on Seed Talk, because it's more than just an interview. And we're all leading back to Lakema's one woman show that's October 7th at Langston Hughes at 6 p.m. This is, we have used our bodies to get what we want, and that started from us picking cotton in the fields. We knew that we had to use that was our main tool, with our body, our strength as human beings,
right?
And let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Like, the colonizer knew that. One of the theories that's out there is the reason why they didn't use the people that were native here when they came here to do it is because they just didn't have the bodies to do it. So they couldn't withstand the heat. The reason why the colonizer couldn't do it is because they couldn't withstand the heat. They couldn't do the work. Dude, a lot of us couldn't withstand the heat and do the work. Let's not, come on, man. I don't want us to get into this pattern and routine of talking now we're some superheroes and you can just misuse us. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's a part of the medical apartheid too. That's why when we go to the doctor, they'd be like, "Oh, you don't need nothing. You're superhuman." You know what I'm saying?
And Black women don't have any nerve endings.
Exactly.
So you can practice on our womb without any anesthesia. Yeah.
You know, how many women went in for whatever and came out with hysterectomies and anyways, that's a whole different story.
Yes, it is.
Because that happened to I think that happened to Ida B. Wells or someone. It happened to a lot of sisters. They didn't have to be famous sisters. They were taking sisters' uteruses out of their bodies.
Man, I got a little piece in the show around some different pieces around that. It's gonna be real interesting.
Yeah.
On how we hit it. And I can't wait to see if and when, when and if it resonates with the people in the audience.
But what I'm saying is we have been trained as a people to put our bodies before our minds. They have told us we can work for it, whether it's in the field, whether it's in the house or on the stage. And that's continued to this day. Every Sunday, we are reminded of that during football season. We're reminded of that every time we watch the NBA and the NFL, that these Black people are out here sacrificing their bodies and their health to make money. Nothing has changed. It has changed out the cotton fields and the indigo fields and the tobacco fields for the basketball courts and the football fields and all this other stuff and the stages. It's the same thing. They're still trying to, own us as property, and they're very successful with that, with these contracts that they have. You see what I'm saying? The plantation ain't nothing but a corporation nowadays. Because a corporation is a human being. Look it up. If you don't believe me, do your Googles.
Right.
If you can Google, a Sexy Red and Sukiana video and talk about that, then you can Google what I just now said. I'm dropping breadcrumbs. A corporation is recognized legally as a person. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So, we have to, get to the point where we are talking about sex, eroticism, how to love on each other in a healthy way. And I wanted to ask you, how does your one woman show address that?
Well, I've been trying to figure out what I'm gonna put in the one woman show around the erotic piece, because once I looked at it, it was a little XXX. So I can't put that piece in. And I was like, okay, and maybe I can do a little modification for the other one, right? It's about discernment. I think we talked about this before: when, where, what, how, and why, right? And understand your audience. And so I know I'm gonna have a mixed audience, so I'm gonna need to put a little edit on it, because we can't be clear erotic poems in the way mine was written at this particular show. But I will touch upon the relationship with my husband and I, who have been together since 1997, got married in 2000. We're looking at, I got to count the years, but I know in 25, we'd be married 25 years. I think we're around 27, something like that, 23, 24. And talk about that love story, because it's a journey, right? And so that will be the erotic part within my show, within my prayerformance, so that everyone knows it's not a performance. I'm not here for your entertainment. This is a prayer for healing, a prayer for rediscovering your knowing, right? So the erotic part will be some pieces. I'm looking at how I can edit a couple of my pieces so that it can be intertwined in there. But it's really about the journey of, loving on a partner and loving on yourself.
One of the connections that we have, and that's why I'm so excited for this one person show, October 7th at Langston Hughes at 6 p.m., is because we share a connection and an intersection that I've done a one person show. And there was a significant part of my one person show that centered on, sexuality and the relationships I was in. In fact, I drew a relationship between sugar and sex. That at a young age, my first addiction and first relationship was with sugar, and then that transferred over to sex. And they were both forms of pleasure. But as we grow and get older, for many people, that becomes an addiction, sugar and sex. And I remember, because you said one of the reasons why it's taboo in our community and we're apprehensive to talk about is because of the violations. And I talk about me being 15 and her being 25. My one person show.
Right.
And that, really was a moment in my one person show when people were, it was interesting. They still were on the fence, and they still wanted to take the side of the older woman in the situation. And it's like, that's a lot what we do in our community. We often allow certain members in our community to be abused, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, they can take it. And I think that's what happened with me as being a young man. It's like, there's no such thing as, statutory rape for a man. He wanted it. If he liked it, then everything is good. And everything, it's like our moral code is attached to the pleasure. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. Moral code is attached to the pleasure.
Yeah. Too many times, if it feels good, that means it's good for you. And that's not true. We do that a lot amongst, young men. Like we encourage them to get with older women, and not because of that. when I'm at 48 years old. When I look back at me being 15 and her being 25, I am so glad that I don't have resentment towards women because of that experience.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to a brother because I work in the schools. He was a parent of one of my students. This is probably maybe like 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, about 3 years ago. It was during the pandemic. I remember because we had masks on. We were in the lunchroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. And he's a comedian. And I went to one of his shows and we started talking. We had a good conversation. And he started talking about how he was younger and he was with an older woman.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something that was powerful. He said, it messed me up, man. He said, because once you're with the older woman, you can't go back from that, brother. Because she's experienced, she knows what you're doing. And it's like, can't be messing around with these girls. And then if you do mess around with those girls, then you're gonna be acting as if you are that older woman in the form of a predator. He said it messed him up.
That's deep.
Ain't it deep?
I think it's really deep because my husband is 20 years older than me. Right. So when you think about it, and I might of course be touching on this, but there's I had a lot of opposition around me being with my husband. A lot of things like it's not gonna last, or what you being with that Chester molester, the different pieces, right? And for me, I definitely was just really mature for my years, just real mature for my years. So younger men didn't work for me. Like they was a little silly. They didn't know, what was going on. In my opinion, the folks that was my age, I couldn't relate to them. I related more with a person that knew where he was trying to go, and we was gonna get there. Versus you want to play this game, want to be the player, the pimp, and all those things. I ain't got time, right? So it definitely was a choice for me. But if you think about it, he's 20 years older. So real talk, it could have been pedophilish, if you will. However, I was all the way grown. I was 21. Right?
Yeah.
I was all the way grown. However, there is a 20-year age difference. So I think definitely, when we're thinking about this age gap, because now we're talking about, the whole thing about the cougars and this and that and so forth and so on. And this thing that it's all right for men to get with younger women, but it ain't all right for women to get with younger men. That's another piece that is occurring. But I say that when it is about the maturity of the individual and also the age, right? The person needs to be grown legally and grown mentally. Because some grown folks legally is not grown mentally.
Yeah, I work in the education system. You definitely have people with cognitive disabilities that they're taking advantage of.
Absolutely.
But no matter what their age is. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that those are two things that always need to be taken into account when these types of situations are considered, right? A person that was 25 years old messing with you was unacceptable because you wasn't grown. Period.
Yeah, and I looked older than I was, but the main thing that you said, I wasn't grown mentally, even though I was way more mature than my peers.
Right.
You know what? I'll even give you this one. I'm not trying to justify it because I'm against it. And I got sons, you know what I'm saying? And if my son was 15 and I caught wind that he was with a 25-year-old, yeah, that's going to be an issue. We're going to have a conversation with that person.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't. My 15-year-old self was advanced, but
no, you wasn't
if
ready.
I didn't have let me put it this way. If I didn't have a relationship with my mother, my stepfather, and my extended family, and primarily if my mother and my stepfather didn't create a support group around me, it could have been all bad. It could have been all bad. And let me tell you this. It's not necessarily all good. You know what I'm saying? Because I got stuff that I'm still trying to resolve and work on. It's a constant healing process until, I transition.
Right.
And that's one of the things that, contributes to, my hurt, and me healing, it's that.
Absolutely.
And what made me a perfect candidate, and a referral for that process is because my biological dad, wasn't in my life ever since I was 5 years old. So I was trying to fill that void. I wanted to be loved. Really didn't want to have sex with a 25-year-old woman. I just
Right.
wanted to be nurtured.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
And probably
feel
so did she.
seen.
And probably so did she.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because all of those things are things that we find in our community, right?
Exactly.
Folks need to feel valued, seen, heard, nurtured, loved, right? That they matter. And if they don't feel that within themselves and get it from their family and community, they're going to seek it in other places and spaces.
Thank you. Thank you. So as we close this out real quick, because I really want to encourage everybody to check out Lakema's one woman show October 7th at Langston Hughes at 6 p.m.
It's a shout out. Can I give a shout out? Shout out
Please.
to Langston, Seattle for the collaborative work that we're doing. This is also partially funded by a grant from For Culture. So shout out to For Culture. And October 7th, Langston Hughes, 6 p.m. You can get tickets at skiniminllc.org or at tellitlikeitis.eventtick.org, which is Langston's site for tickets as well. Super excited to really do this journey. The process, the eye-opening pieces that are happening and continue to happen on my soul journey is really moving me to my next level of elevation. So I'm just really grateful for this opportunity with you. And there goes that Libra pause.
There it is. Hey, for the first 5 people to inbox me and want to go to this show, go ahead and inbox me and I'll go ahead and donate those 5 tickets to you. I got some comp tickets for y'all to go see.
Hey, that's what's up. Thank you, Logic. Look at you.
I mean, that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? So I think everyone needs to see this show. Real quick before we sum it up for our action plan, why don't you tell us what we can expect when we experience your one woman show?
You can expect to be immersed in the world of victimization and being victorious through victimization. You will be in the world of unconditional love. You'll be in the world of negative thoughts. You'll be in the world of inspiration. You'll be in the world of violation. You'll be in the world of trauma. You'll be in the world of joy. You'll be a world of jubilee. This experience is really a look into my experience that is continually to be on my soul journey for my divine assignment. There's a divine assignment that everyone has. If you are so lucky to be a soul, to be able to experience themselves in the physical, then you have a job to do. And it's our job to figure out what that is and get about to doing it.
Man, shout out to Sister Lakema. Y'all got to check her out. October 2nd. I mean 7th. October 7th. 6 p.m. Langston Hughes.
Yes.
So make sure y'all check it out. Also, make sure y'all are sharing and commenting on this video. And you're out there promoting, C Talk and Lakema's show. Come on now.
Tell it like it is.
Tell it like it
is. On my birthday. October 7th is my birthday, and I'll be 48, Logic. I'll be hitting up there with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're my little sister, I guess. Also, make sure that you are donating to Lakema. If you can't make the show, God forbid, if you're not one of those 5 people to get the tickets to my show, make sure you're donating at $ at Lakema Bell on Cash App. All right.
Yes.
We love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's C Talk. Yeah, that's the plan of action. That's your homework, is go to her show. How about that?
That
Go
part.
run, tell that. It's been